Hello, and a massive warm welcome to you.
Yes, welcome.
Whether you are listening on your morning commute, strategically prepping for a big upcoming trip, or you're just insanely curious about how different parts of the world operate, we are so glad you're joining us.
We really are.
Today, we have a custom-tailored deep dive just for you. Our mission is to synthesize a massive stack of 2026 travel guides, cultural programs, and some highly guarded local culinary secrets, all centered on Bilbao and the broader Basque country.
It is quite the stack of research.
It really is. Think of this analysis as your masterclass. It's your ultimate shortcut to being a seriously well-informed traveler and culture enthusiast when it comes to navigating this incredibly unique region.
It is a truly fascinating area to explore, and giving you that context is essential before you even set foot there. I mean, if you look at the big picture, Bilbao is a city defined by beautiful, striking contradictions.
Right.
On one hand, you have a rugged, ancient culture that is fiercely protective of its roots and language. On the other, it functions as a massive, glowing hub for avant-garde modern art. It is a place where gritty, iron-forged industrial history literally collides with high-concept, Michelin-starred gastronomy.
Yeah, that tension.
Exactly. It's that constant crackling friction between the ancient and the hyper-new that makes understanding this region so deeply compelling.
Okay, let's unpack this. And I want to start with what kept jumping out at me in the research as arguably the most famous part of Basque culture: the food.
Oh, absolutely, the food.
Specifically, the pinso scene. The guides talk about wandering into the narrow medieval streets of Casco Viejo, which is the old town, and encountering these bites everywhere. But from what I'm reading, calling a pinso a snack seems almost like an insult.
It is an insult. They are miniature culinary masterpieces.
Right. They're described as small, incredibly creative culinary works of art. The classic starting point mentioned everywhere is something called the gilda. It's a little skewer with an anchovy, an olive, and a pickled guindilla pepper.
That's the one.
I read it's named after the classic Rita Hayworth movie character because locals say it's salty, green, and a little spicy. But mechanically speaking, why does such a simple skewer hold so much cultural weight?
Well, the gilda is the perfect initiation into the local palate. It perfectly balances the fundamental flavor profiles of Basque cuisine in one single bite.
I see.
You have the briny oceanic umami from the anchovy, the rich fat of the olive, and the sharp acidic bite of the pickled pepper cutting right through it. It wakes up the palate. But knowing exactly how to navigate this world and where to actually go is where the research becomes crucial.
Because there's just so much of it.
Exactly. The sheer volume of options in the Old Town can induce decision fatigue very quickly.
That makes total sense, which is why I want to pull some very specific highlights from our sources for you to use as a compass. For instance, the morning routine seems to center around a spot called Baster.
Baster, yes.
The notes highlight getting there right around 9:30 in the morning for a famous express omelet. Then, as the day moves on, the culinary complexity ramps up. The guides highly recommend a place called Gatz for lunch, but they warn you have to get there early around 1:30 p.m. because they only make a few servings of their highly sought-after beef tartare.
That is a crucial tip.
The sources also mention grabbing a dish there called bacalao al pilpil, which is a traditional cod dish. But the term pilpil isn't fully explained in the initial guide. What exactly is that technique?
That is a brilliant detail to bring up. Understanding pilpil is understanding the genius of Basque cooking. It is a traditional emulsion technique. The chefs take salt cod, garlic, and olive oil, and they cook it very slowly in a clay pot.
Just a clay pot.
Just a clay pot. And by gently swirling the pot in a circular motion, the natural gelatin from the fish skin releases and emulsifies with the olive oil. It creates this rich, creamy, incredibly flavorful sauce without using a single drop of dairy. It requires immense patience and wrist control. It is culinary science rooted in ancient peasant tradition.
That sounds absolutely incredible, turning oil and fish skin into a cream sauce through sheer technique. Speaking of technique, I noticed another highly recommended stop called Motrikes, which is famous for mastering one specific ingredient.
Mushrooms.
Yes, mushrooms. Their star dish is the Tovazampis picantes, which are these intensely flavorful, spicy mushrooms. But looking at the map, I see a potential hazard for the uninitiated. Plaza Nueva is right in the middle of all this.
Yes, Plaza Nueva.
It's this gorgeous, emblematic square, but the cultural note suggests a lot of the spots there have become overly franchised tourist traps recently. How do we filter the good from the bad in a major plaza like that?
You have to be discerning in those heavy foot traffic areas. The key is to look for the places where the locals are elbow to elbow. Based on the 2026 data we synthesized, there are two major exceptions in Plaza Nueva that have maintained their absolute integrity.
Okay, what are they?
First is Sorgonzillo. The recommendation there is to order the grilled foie and the rabas, which is their take on calamari. The second is La Olla, where the absolute mandate is to try their tuxulaton.
The tuxulaton?
Yes. That is a towering, perfectly seared T-bone steak served as a miniature portion on bread.
Now, Casco Viejo obviously has the historical pedigree, but the travel notes mention a shift in the cultural center of gravity. Just across the river, there is a neighborhood called Bilbao la Vieja, which translates to Bilbao the Old.
Right.
It's only a 10-minute walk from the center, but the sources describe it as having a completely different, alternative, almost hipster energy right now. One of the highlights was simply grabbing a traditional ham sandwich, a bocadillo, at a spot called Muelle Marzana 16, and just sitting by the river on a sunny evening. It seems like the food is almost secondary to the atmosphere there.
What's fascinating here is that Pinso culture isn't actually just about eating at all. It functions as a complex social framework.
Oh.
The tradition of moving from bar to bar, having one small bite and a drink, and then physically moving on to the next location, deeply reflects the communal, egalitarian nature of Basque society. You don't retreat into a restaurant, sit isolated at a private table for 3 hours, and ignore the world.
You're out in it.
You're standing at the counter, you are part of the physical flow of the city, and you are constantly interacting with the staff and your neighbors. The architecture of the meal forces community engagement.
It's basically food as a social sport. And it seems like Bilbao applies that same philosophy of flow and community to its actual physical spaces. Let's look at the architecture of culture here. A perfect example of recycling that industrial past is Azkuna Zentroa.
A stunning building.
The documents describe this massive building that used to be a sprawling utilitarian wine market. Instead of tearing it down, they transformed it into a stunning cultural hub. The visual highlight that the guides emphasize is the entrance hall. It features 43 massive pillars designed by Italian set designer Lorenzo Beraldi, and every single one is sculpted in a completely unique style.
The decision to commission a set designer rather than a traditional architect for those pillars was incredibly intentional. It turns the ground floor into a theatrical stage.
That makes a lot of sense visually.
And when you look at their 2026 programming, it illustrates perfectly how Bilbao constantly leverages its heavy brick and stone physical history to generate new intellectual capital. For example, Azkuna Zentroa is hosting the 40th anniversary of the Cinemateca film cycle, alongside the Gutun Zuria International Literature Festival.
So they take a space originally designed for the brute force storage of alcohol barrels
and elevate it into a premier venue for contemporary global discourse.
And if we are talking about global discourse, we have to look at the absolute crown jewel of the city, the Guggenheim Museum Bilbao. The 2026 exhibition lineup we pulled from their programming schedule is staggering. They are featuring Ruth Asawa's wire sculptures, which are these mesmerizing, suspended, woven metal pieces that cast intricate shadows and look almost like organic roots or complex nervous systems.
Yeah, breathtaking in person.
On top of that, there is a massive retrospective of Jasper Johns, bringing in those iconic American flags and targets that famously bridged the gap between abstract expressionism and pop art.